Hello everyone and welcome to another fantastic episode of the show to be named later. I am your host Logan Tyne. We got a great show planned for you. This week, bigger and better than ever, we have a live studio audience for us this week. But it was a great week in fantasy football. A lot going on, a lot of close contests. We'll get into that more once we bring Baker back on out here as my special guest. But two people I want to call out. I feel terrible for them. Keeler and Jackie just cannot catch a break this week. Keeler losing by only a point with Dalvin Cook going out midway through the game. That was his victory. And now he's forced to head out to the waiver wire to try to figure out what he's going to do next. And Jackie, already down her top running back of the year, goes out, spends a boatload of money trying to get Chris Carson, comes in, performs well for her, and just a couple weeks later, he's on IR too. With a limited budget, I don't know where Jackie's going to turn, and both of them are going to be dueling it out this week. We'll see who breaks the bank for Jerick McKinnon, or if anyone else swoops in just to be a real pain in the ass. But as we get into this show, I want to take up a minute to thank two important people in the league. First of all, TJ. What a fantastic idea bringing us together on Facebook. I really think that place is going to take off for us. A lot of new technologies there. You're big into that. Innovation is key in our league, and I thank you for bringing us together in that way. It means a lot to me personally. And also Tom Moran, I want to thank you so much for accepting the position of Executive Vice President of Analytics and Chief Historian. I know you're going to do a lot of great work for us in that role and really put some new perspective on what we're doing as a league. And as part of that, I'm excited to announce kind of the first of many projects and work that I think we'll find interesting. Over the past few days, Tom and I have been working together to try to figure out who actually is the best of the best in our league. We've been at this for a long time, a lot of different things going on, and I think it would be really interesting to see over the course of the time that we've been together as a 12-team league, where we all stack up. So, bring up the big board here. Teams 1 through 12. We'll start, with Goon, because we all knew that it was going to be Goon, right? You're just not very good at this.
Get a team name.
Get a team name. Thank you. Thank you, live studio audience. At number 11, with a 420 win percentage, Kyle. Remember you had that 1 year? Yeah, that was fun. Number 10. Patrick, the favorite this year with the 440 winning percentage. Really, really impressive work so far this year. Maybe turning that around. Number 9, Tom Moran, our new Executive Vice President. Maybe you should just stick to Tableau. Just a thought. Number 8, Derek. He's in the league. Number 7, Keeler. I'm actually very surprised that he's all the way up this high. I didn't expect that, but good for you, buddy. Number 6, Tej. Look at you there. Again, I just never thought you were that good. Number 5, Baker. I think Baker's got Minnesota football syndrome because he sucked for a long time, but I guess at some point he was pretty okay. I have no idea. Number 4, yours truly. Number 3, Jackie. Number 2, Joner. Sorry, I spelled your name wrong. And number 1, all time by a mile, Jake. Now, a couple years ago, Tom came up with the curse of the fish hooks, and I think the winning percentage of our league illustrates exactly the problem that we all face. So all the non-Jays out there, we got to step it up. We got a long way to go to take down Jake, but I think if we work together, we can assure at least none of these 3 are champions this year. So, with that being said, we'll post this out on our new Facebook page, and you guys can take a look at that. Congrats to Jake for clearly being the best all time. But with that, I want to turn it over to the next step in our in the show today. I want to welcome our guest. He is everybody's friend, a really good guy, and actually better at fantasy football than I thought. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Baker.
Thank you. Good to see you. I gotta say, I'm actually surprised I'm 5 there. Just imagine if I actually decided to play this year. I think I'd have to beat Logan, but
yeah, you might, but explain this to me, and we'll get into all of this other stuff. You've sucked for a long time in this
I'm
league.
gonna let you finish, but I actually first have one thing real quick here.
Okay.
I noticed there's some lack of creativity in terms of your name for your show here. So I actually took the liberty of using my creative brain and trying to come up with some ideas for the show.
Okay.
So I actually brought you a little gift here.
Oh, thank you.
So I think we could probably have a little vote here. I'm obviously not going to take control and tell you what you're going to do in the program, but so I had a couple ideas that I just kind of threw together here. The first one here is the Logie Bear Report. I know you're a fan of Stephen Colbert, so I thought that'd be very fitting. So that's one name.
Okay.
Also, just to ensure that we're not going the fake news route here, I thought Commission Friends. Fox and Friends, that garbage TV show. This is a garbage TV show, and thought that was fitting. But
thank you.
this one's actually my personal favorite. It's called Pardon the Interrogation. Because as you can see, everyone that sits in this chair is a little nervous because we don't know what we're expecting coming out of Logan's mouth when we're sitting here. So
these are all
just some ideas to throw out there. I'm trying to use a little bit of creativity in the league.
No, I appreciate, and obviously the amount of time that you made.
Yeah, it's
actually
real artistic talent.
No, that's really good. So we'll throw it out there. I'm a champion and a commissioner of the people. I'm open to anything, so I appreciate the prep work that you did here. But I want to just get to know you, man. I mean, we've been friends for a long time, but I think there's a lot more to you than meets the eye.
Really?
I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. But tell us, what's new, man?
Well, I mean, a heck of a lot's new. Obviously 2017 was a pretty crazy year for everyone, myself included. First half of my year was me basically being a hermit, studying my ass off. I don't know if you know that. I had my big commissioning exam for work. That was, 5 years in the making, basically. That wrapped up here in July. So, that kind of.
And how'd it go?
I did pass, obviously.
Yay.
So,
Congratulations, man.
Official federal agent now. I can close down banks, do all that kind of fun stuff. So that was pretty much my first half of the year. Sprinkling in a couple weddings. Obviously yours and Jackie's included. And then, since then, I've pretty much been traveling all over the place. I was in D.C., I was in Dallas, Chicago, most of the Midwest. Headed over to the Mecca of football a few weeks ago, to catch a Packer game. I've been just enjoying my time since, I've gotten to, avoid the stresses of studying for 4.5 years.
And I get it. And I think that's one thing where I always I'm like, what the hell's Baker doing? He's always so busy running around doing all sorts of stuff. I know you travel for work and you got a lot going on.
That much,
but what's been some of the highlights on the fun side of things for you? What have you done that you've enjoyed this year? And don't just say the Packer game. That's clearly up there.
Well, it was. I mean, it was a record-setting day. It was 90 degrees. So, I also got to spend some time doing some fishing, which I think everyone in the group knows. I love doing that. Being outdoors. So. Spent a week, in the state of Wisconsin, just fishing and enjoying some time with family. Another thing that I kind of neglected over the last year, just was studying. So that's probably been the highlight. Like I said, the first half of this year, didn't really get to do a whole lot, with all the studying. But
well, it sounds like it's well earned, absolutely. But I will say, even with all of that, you got a lot going on. We know there's a lot going on. You're known for being a pretty mysterious fellow. So, I don't know. Why so secretive? Why so mysterious, man?
I don't know. I guess I just have never really needed to be the center of attention. So,
Me either.
I don't know what else to add to that one. I don't necessarily think I'm secretive.
Well, okay. So maybe you don't think you're secretive, but everyone's got some secrets. So I made Jordan spill the beans last week. What is the biggest secret that no one in the league knows about you that you want to share right now?
Biggest secret.
And it better be better than I almost moved to San Francisco. That was weak, Jordan.
Well, I did almost move to... No, I'm just kidding. So I guess one thing, maybe you guys don't all know, I try to act like I'm a pretty, tough guy. Don't get too emotional, but some of you who've traveled with me may know that I'm actually extremely afraid of flying. I really, don't enjoy it at all, which kind of sucks with my job. I have to fly on occasion. So I kind of have this weird, habit, so to speak, or kind of, way I kind of control my anxiety on a plane. And, I kind of have to sit down in my seat, don't talk to anybody, throw in my headphones and just listen to music, which, you know, it's kind of funny that comes up today because I think this is kind of what made it pop in my head was, you know, obviously Tom Petty passed away yesterday, and it just happens that like that kind of music is really what gets me in a zone to kind of, you know, de-stress and reduce my anxiety flying. So I'm just listening to a lot of Tom Petty, you know, for the first half hour of flight. So if I'm ever stuck with someone who is a talker on a flight, it's like the worst thing ever.
That is.
I guess that's one thing you guys don't really know.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
But that is the worst, getting stuck next to a talker.
Yeah.
I have a flight in about 8 hours, so I'm really dreading that, actually.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I love traveling when I get there, but yeah, just flying is not for me. I'm a little claustrophobic, so being stuck in a giant metal tube is not.
No, I hear you. All right, we're gonna get real personal here. There's
Right.
always the question: are there any ladies in Baker's life? What's new on the dating front?
You know,
for-
if there was
for the Baker
something
face?
significant to report, you guys will be the first to know, honestly, outside of my family. So, you know, I've gone on dates here and there. I mean, one thing I'm trying to do with work is be off the road a little more, just because that is always a challenge in terms of doing that. But, you know, nothing is serious at this point, unfortunately.
That makes sense. But on a lighter note, on a more fun note, we're gonna play a game right now.
All right.
This is a game called What Would You Do in Exchange for a Packers Super Bowl Victory? So, for the next, I got a few questions, and it's simple. Would you be willing to do this in exchange for the Packers to win the Super Bowl? Now, we know you're a fan.
I mean, you are aware that they've already won 2 in my lifetime, right?
Yeah, well, we're talking about this year specifically in US Bank Stadium.
All right, that definitely helps.
That helps it a little bit, right? Okay, so would you be willing to quit the league?
Well, given the start I've already had, yes.
Okay, all right.
I'm basically not even in the league anymore at this point. But.
So, all right. I mean, that makes us sad, and that would. I think if there was ever anything that
I mean,
would.
I could always be like a guest trash talker or something, right? But
That's fair.
I wouldn't be fully out of the league. Just wouldn't play on Sundays. I don't know. I think I'd do that for a Super Bowl. Sure.
Kind of makes me a little sad. But, all right.
Sorry, guys.
All right. What about this? You mentioned this earlier. You love to fish. I know you love to hunt. Would you give up hunting and fishing for 3 years?
For 3 years. You know, I think only for the fact that if they did win it this year, I would be sitting in the seats watching that game. So that alone, I think, would make it worth it to not fish or hunt for 3 years. I think I could last that long.
You could do it. What about then not being able to watch the Packers the entire next year?
I don't think I could do that.
So you just want to watch. You don't like where's
I mean, so for 1 days of enjoyment to lose 16 Sundays, that's pretty tough.
That's a big day.
Yeah, but like I said, they've already won twice in my life, so I've still got those memories, you know.
That's fair. All right. What about this one? Move back in with Amon.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be anything to give up. Amon's a good friend of mine.
Okay. Ooh.
I know some other people didn't.
So what about
really
this one
like
though?
him, but
Move back in with Keeler.
oh god, Keeler. Would he have the same job? You know, as in like never be around.
No, he's like a real roommate.
I'm sorry, pal. I don't know if I can do it anymore. I mean, you're a great guy. Don't get me wrong.
Is he?
Good guy.
All right, good.
guy.
I'll settle with good. That's fair. What about this one? Get a tattoo.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd get the Super Bowl logo tattooed, right?
If it was in a place that was visible always, would you do it?
Does hand count?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You get it? All right.
Yeah. Maybe I'll even do like the Super Bowl ring around my finger or something. That'd be pretty cool.
That's a great idea. Do that.
Okay.
You're
gonna pay for it?
Sure. We'll use league funds. It's fine.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna win them this year.
All right. I know with your travel, you rely on this. Give up non-live television for a year. Non-live. If you don't watch it live, you don't watch it.
I think I still could do that.
Okay. Never know the ending of Game of Thrones.
I couldn't do that.
Do you need that one?
Even if it is shitty, I couldn't live without the ending. Made it this far, read all the books, watched all the shows. It'd be tough.
Okay. President Trump wins election again in 2020.
I think we could survive it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, nothing's getting done. Other than embarrassing us, like, what is getting done?
I need a drink. God.
Come on, I have closer Washington ties. There's nothing going on there, right? We can't make it 4 more years with nothing changing. Just think of the misery of Vikings fans, Logan. You're a Packer fan too. Be worth it.
I'm an American, damn it. Sorry. Okay.
So am I.
All right, last one. This isn't a would you rather. This is open ended. You were to write out a check right now. What would that check be worth for the Packers Super Bowl?
I already wrote a check. I'm the owner of the team, so.
Okay. Well, if you were to write out a check, like what would you pay?
Would I?
And it could go to a cause that you're like supporting.
So if I like give it to charity or something. I think I could do 10,000 to a good charity.
$10,000. How rich are you?
Yeah, I work for the government, man. And I'm single. Come on. You should learn, man. Getting married just means you don't have as much money.
Well, I didn't have much to start with, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, well,
for a good cause.
That is for a good cause. But it looks like we have a question from the audience right now. So I want to turn it over out there. Yes, please. Say your name and where you're from.
Hi, this is Megan, and I'm from Minneapolis. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. You are a visionary when it comes to fantasy football innovation, and I just admire you so much, Mr. Tyne.
Thank you.
So this question is obviously for Tom Baker, and my question is, you're known to be very perceptive. Why is it that you couldn't perceive which fantasy players will suck each year?
Will suck each year?
It's a very good question. Thank you very much.
It's really tough to perceive injuries. That's one thing in the NFL. There's really no predictor to that, and I think that's really what gets me all kind of screwed up in determining who's going to be healthy all year versus who's going to get hurt. Week 1 or get hurt.
So how many injuries have you had
playoffs.
this year?
It's funny you should ask that. This is probably the healthiest my team's been.
And what's your record?
I'm 0-4.
Oh,
but I have
okay.
lost my kicker, which everyone knows the kicker is important.
We actually made the rules so that kickers weren't important.
Oh, well, I wasn't part of that. I'm not part of your stupid council, but and I did lose PPR god. Darren Sproles also is out for the year. So I've had some injuries. Obviously not as bad as other teams, I'll admit that. But what I tried to do this year, since I've had so many injuries, is focus less on those running backs who take a beating with 20 carries a game, and try to get those guys that are catching a lot of passes. And tended to go a lot younger, which I think my biggest issue is I just can't find that right combination of which guy to trust in which place. I bring in one guy this week and he puts up 5 points. The guy I replaced him with puts up 25 on my bench, and then I flip-flop the next week, and it's just things just haven't gone my way this year. So I guess that explains the 0-4 record, but there's always a chance to turn it around, and I think I'm starting to kind of figure out which roles each player is going to play on my team. So I still like my chances.
Are you ready to sell?
If there's obviously a couple guys, I know you for one already made an offer for AB, and I'm certainly willing to listen. If anyone out there feels like they, are just, an Antonio Brown acquisition away from being the champ this year. But, it's right now it's going to take probably a pretty solid offer in terms of preparing for next year for me to sell him at this point. I think as we get close to the playoffs, it's only going to be more enticing to someone. So, unless I get the right offer, I don't think I'm going to part ways just yet with him. So
makes sense to me. But let's backing out from your team a little bit and look at big picture in the league. We're at the quarter point of the season now. We got 4 games in the books. We clearly have a couple front runners. Patrick at 4-0, Jordan at 3-1. Trying to think, Jake at 3-1. huge
A lot
chunk
of
of people at 2 and 2,
2.
right in the mix there. What's your assessment of the league at this point in the season?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is injuries. Across the board, like. Just watching football in general is like every big play you look and say, okay, who's injured? And I think our league's certainly seen that with every team, having some impact. I think on draft day I would have said Jordan looked like the favorite. I mean, his team is stacked right now. There's no other way of saying that. But I think there's a couple dark horses there. I think Kyle's got a very solid squad. I mean, everyone. I think week 1 was like, oh, it was just Hunt and that's it. But I mean, he's also got. Pretty solid set of receivers, led by Jordan Nelson, who the guy's a freaking touchdown machine.
Touchdowns,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And a couple other solid players there, so I think his team's pretty good. Jake, as we saw from Tom's number crunching, I mean, the guy just wins, right? So he's certainly in the mix. I mean, you're the defending champ, so you'll probably be in the conversation, even though
I'm always in the conversation.
Good this year, despite getting, Zeke Elliott first steal, thanks to... someone who had the second pick and was unaware of what the hell's going on in the NFL since he was out in the woods fishing all week, but that's besides the point. So I think those are, my favorites at this point, I would say.
Which team would you say is the biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise? Myself being 0-4.
Well, my next question is biggest
surprise.
disappointment.
Oh, surprise and disappointment. So,
All right. Positive surprise.
Yes.
Positive surprise.
Okay.
What would you say?
Man, it's probably got to be Patrick. I guess I didn't mention him as one of those favorites teams, but I think a lot of times we always wonder how serious Patrick's taking this league. I mean, I think one year he drafted while he was driving in the car. We've drafted as a group for him before. So I think more or less just surprised to see he actually cares enough to put a roster together. It's pretty solid.
No, he's got a good team.
Go with him.
No, it helps when you come into the year with a couple of nice keepers.
Yeah, obviously.
Round up your team.
I think
He did the right things last year. Put himself in position this year. It didn't help winning the draft lottery either. That helps too.
Yeah, when you can get Le'Veon Bell, who, I think Patrick's 4-0, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Le'Veon Bell didn't do shit until last week, so yeah, his team's certainly scary also.
No, I agree. He's in a good spot. But moving on, let's transition to this week. As we do every week, the guest gets to make the picks.
All right.
So, you got the matchups. Have you done your homework?
Sure.
All right.
I really haven't. I mean, I know who I'm playing this week, but...
That's all right. But we will start with myself taking on the 4-0 Patrick.
So you got to help me out with buys. Who's all on a buy this week?
So we got the
From your
Steelers
teams?
and the Broncos and the team from Washington.
Washington. New Orleans is on a buy too, correct?
Yeah. So,
I think Patrick's gonna keep it rolling.
he's got no wide receivers. Thomas out. Don't get me wrong, he's still probably gonna crush me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I if there was ever a week to play Patrick, I got lucky. This might be the week.
All right. Well, I still am gonna go with Patrick.
That's fair.
But
Kyle, who you just called out as having a surprisingly solid team against TJ, who this week fell to 1-3.
yeah, Kyle all the way on that one.
Okay. Jackie, who I think has you slotted to play running back for her this week, taking on
It's a good choice.
Taking on Goon. Who you got?
Well, I think I'm just gonna go with past performance here, and despite the injury that Jackie suffered yet again, I mean, she's got Todd Gurley, and he's been a beast right now. So I don't think Goon stands much of a chance, per usual. But
Going with
Jackie. Yeah.
All right, we got the Stat Joner taking on Derek.
I think this is going to be my upset pick of the
There
week.
it is.
I think Derek's going to pull one out. I mean, he got rather lucky this week, but I think him and I both could agree both our teams had a pretty disappointing, unexpectedly poor week this week. He eked out the win, but I think he's due for one of those, surprise 120 weeks and pulling off the upset of our dear friend Joner over there.
All right. I like it. All right. Mr. Keeler taking on Mr. Moran.
Keeler. Tom's awful.
Okay. That's fair.
Just call it like it is. He's always awful.
Yeah, he is actually.
Yeah.
True. And then you have all he does is win, Jake.
All he does is win, Jake. I think Jake's finally gonna go down this week. Like I said, my team has not been the greatest, but I've actually had 2 weeks where my bench has actually outscored my starters, and not by like a.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Baker wouldn't stop rambling about his shitty team, so I just decided to cut the tape. But we're back now. We had a conversation off camera. This isn't about him. We're moving on.
I could keep going if you want.
Stop. We made it through this far. Don't ruin this. Okay?
I'm good.
So we're done. This is awesome.
All right.
Don't think I'm letting you know it. Come back, please. Don't think I'm letting you get away, though. I did not forget. Last week, Joner teed up another secret of yours. What does your team name actually mean?
Well, I mean, it should be pretty obvious to everyone. No, I mean, my team name means a lot of things. It started out just throwing basically every one of my players' last name on their last letter. So, McCaffrey and Brown and all those guys. Obviously there's a little inspiration by a certain artist that, I think everyone knows I'm a fan of. But, I think right now, I guess that probably stands for my bad, disappointing, terrible fantasy team. Maybe that'll change.
Well, for your sake, I hope it does. I really do. But, as you know, no one comes on the show to be named later without getting a nice parting gift. And so, for you, we do have a wonderful Green Bay Packers themed soap dish thing.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got it in a woot off.
A woot off?
Yeah, that's a thing.
I suppose we don't have time to...
Nope, we're already running like way long.
Alright.
But that's okay. So, any last messages for the week from you?
Nah, I got nothing.
Now, a man of few words, Mr. Baker. Thank you very much. Just getting late breaking news for everyone to know. Got confirmation next week. The all-time win percentage leader himself, Jake Esselman, will be on my guest. We may even be shooting live on location. Look forward to that. Also later in this week, be prepared for the newsletter. We have another contribution from Tom Moran breaking down the picks in depth for the weekend. Jordan's going to talk about something that we're not actually going to read. And a special guest contribution from our good friend Matt Keeler over in Europe, breaking down some things for us. Look forward to all of that. Once again, thank you guys for a wonderful week, and good luck this weekend. Have a good night.